Hello friends and welcome back to the another amazing live stream video. So guys, today something ordinary and deeply emotional is unfolding for Venezuelans across the world. Across Venezuela and throughout the diasporas, people are reacting with the shocks, tears, disbelief and celebration to reports that Nicolás Maduro has been captured and is now in US custody. Social media is flooded with the raw, unfiltered videos of people crying, hugging, shouting into their phones, repeating the same words again and again. They caught him. They finally caught him. Yes, for many, this moment feels like unreal, like waking up from a long nightmare. One voice in a video cuts through the cheering with something heavier and more painful, saying, "Look at how we have been living. All this wealth, people were suffering." That sentence alone explains why this reaction was so intense. This is not just about the arrest of a president, guys. For many Venezuelans, this feels like the collapse of a system that has controlled and crushed their lives for years now. To understand why so many citizens appear relieved or even happy with President Maduro's arrest, we need to understand the background of Nicolás Maduro's rule. Maduro inherited power after Hugo Chavez, but unlike Chavez, early popularity, Maduro years in office have been marked by economic collapse, political repression, and widespread suffering. Venezuela, a country with some of the largest oil reserves in the world, descended into hyperinflation, severe shortages of food and medicine, collapsing public services, and mass unemployment. Millions of Venezuelans were forced to leave their homes and flee to neighboring countries and beyond, creating one of the largest migration crises in modern history. Families were separated, savings become worthless overnight, and ordinary people struggled just to survive. Over time, frustration turned into anger, and anger turned into despair, especially as repeated elections were disputed. Opposition leaders silenced, and institutions that once provided the checks and balances were weakened or completely captured by the ruling elite. Now, beyond the economic collapse, Maduro's administration has been accused of serious human rights abuses, including the arbitrary arrest, torture, suppression of protest, and the violent crackdowns on dissent. International organizations, journalists, and former officials have documented cases where security forces were illegally used to intimidate or eliminate political opposition. At the same time, Maduro and members of his inner circle have been accused by US authorities of involvement in large scale drug trafficking and organized crime, accusations that go far beyond normal political corruption. For many Venezuelans, this allegation confirms what they already believe, that the state was no longer working for the people but against them. So, when news of his capture spread, it was interpreted not as foreign interference but as long delayed accountability. However, while emotions are high, the situation is also legal and politically explosive. The idea of one country capturing the sitting president of another country raises serious questions under international law. Traditionally, heads of state enjoy immunity while in office, and sovereignty is one of the core principles of the international system. Normally, a president cannot simply be arrested by another country without United Nations authorization or a clear legal framework accepted by international community. This is why reactions across the world deeply divided. Supporters argue that Maduro lost legitimacy long ago, that his elections were neither free nor fair, and that criminal indictments justified extraordinary action. Critics argue that this sets a dangerous precedent, one where powerful nations could unilaterally decide which leaders are legitimate and remove them by force, undermining global stability. This leads to the question everyone is asking now: what happens next? Inside Venezuela, the immediate impact is uncertainty. Even without Maduro physically present, the political system he built does not disappear overnight. Power structures, loyalties within the military, security forces, and government institutions still exist. Some Venezuelans are hopeful that this movement opens the door to real change, free elections, and a transition towards democracy. Others are fearful, worrying about chaos, retaliation, or internal conflict if factions begin fighting for control. History shows that removing a leader does not automatically fix a broken system, and the days ahead may be turbulent. For Maduro himself, the legal path is complex and unprecedented. If tried in US, it would mark one of the rare cases where a foreign head of state faces prosecution another country's courts. Legal battles over jurisdiction, immunity, and due process are inevitable, and the outcome could take years. International bodies, including the United Nations, will face pressure to respond as this case challenges long standing norms about sovereignty, intervention, and accountability. Other world leaders are watching closely because what happens here could reshape how power, law, and responsibility intersect in global politics. For Venezuelans watching from their homes, refugee shelters, or foreign cities where they rebuild their lives, this moment feels deeply personal. It represents years of hunger, fear, and humiliation finally being acknowledged. That is why people are crying on camera, why they are saying finally as if a heavy weight has been lifted. Whether this movement truly brings the hope they are feeling remain uncertain, but one thing is clear, guys. This is not a political event. It's a psychological, emotional turning point for a nation that has endured extraordinary suffering. The world is now watching to see whether this movement leads to justice and renewal, and whether it becomes another chapter in a long and painful struggle for Venezuela's struggle and future. So, guys, thank you so much for joining in today. What do you think on this? Let me know in the comments. Is the arrest of Nicolás Maduro and seized by the US is another chapter in the international politics, and will it bring a new wave of another shocking moments? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you and respond back. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this breakdown, kindly give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for such amazing daily headlines. We'll see you guys in the next one.